and welcome back to part 2 of WrestleTalkShow's complete coverage of WWE Survivor Series. Last night, November 21st, on pay-per-view. When we last left off, Natalya is your new Divas champion, and we go into a Miz commercial. WWE sponsored commercials. Someone explain it to me. Next up, Kane versus Edge for the world title. The whole story's been building up that Edge kidnapped Paul Bearer, who is Kane's father, and now it's a revenge match. But where the logic, I don't know if I'm going too far with this, but where it started to not make sense for me, if Kane's goal Friday night, like I said in the Survivor Series preview video, if Kane's goal Friday night was to find Paul Bearer, and by the end of the night, Paul Bearer was in the parking lot. Kane got to confront the car and look at Paul Bearer. In the time that lapsed between the attack and speed off, to from the time Kane seen Paul Bearer to the time the speed off happened, to create the element of real fear and real kidnapping, why wouldn't you at least cut him free? If your main objective is to find him, find him. The van he's in means nothing. And at that point, Edge should have meant nothing because you've spent the whole night saying that your goal was to find Paul Bearer. But moving along. Kane versus Edge. Edge brings out an empty wheelchair, plays to the mind games. I guess Kane thought it was going to be Paul Bearer. I assumed that if Edge lost the match, Paul Bearer would be there at ringside so Kane could just rejoice with his father. Or Edge would want Paul Bearer out there to watch him beat Kane up. But here's where this match gets interesting. And again, if you're just joining us, feel free to look at part 1 at WrestleTalkShow.webs.com or right here on our YouTube channel to get up to current. The powerhouse moves came with the big boot and the choke slam to Edge. There's a pin, but Edge kicks out, and at this point it becomes, at some point in the match, both men are down, and the ref renders the double count out count. The ref starts to count while looking at Edge. Here's where it gets, like I said, the full reports on the WrestleTalkShow.webs.com. I'm going to summarize through these matches. If I have time, I'll be as detailed as possible. The ref starts counting the double knockout count. In the midst of that, both men put one another's arms across each other's shoulders. The ref is looking at Edge when this happens. He counts for Edge. 1, 2, 3. It's declared Edge is your new heavyweight champion, which kind of depressed me at first before I seen that right away they were going a different direction, because that would mean that week's worth of hype essentially meant nothing if they honestly went that way. But what happened was that other officials came out and they realized it was on tape what happened. Both men were in the exact same pinning predicament, because it wasn't really a pin. It was his shoulders are on the mat and my arms across his chest, so I'm holding the pin. And it was declared a tie, and in the event of a tie, the champion retains his title. Kane retains the World Heavyweight title, and the end of the match, Edge is so pissed off about the outcome that he puts Kane into the wheelchair and rolls him right through the barricade, and we're left with a lifeless Kane. Next, you have your WrestleMania 27 promo. another WWE sponsored commercial if you ask me, for April 3rd, 2011. Now, we have Heath Slater and Justin Gabriel of the Nexus versus Santino and Kozlov for the tag team titles. This one was another one that, remember I was talking filler matches? I want to say Natalya and the tag titles were your fillers for a 3-hour window where they needed a break. The Divas title and the tag titles. Here's your high points. And again, more details on the site. Fully interactive site. Let us know what you think about my opinions. Santino gets hit from behind by Slater, rolled up in a pin. Slater gets the pin over Santino. Gabriel and Slater retain their titles after not much wrestling at all. Right away, the general manager emails. This is where the night gets interesting, boys and girls, and boring at the same time. He reinforces that Nexus cannot interfere in the Randy Orton and Wade Barrett match and demands that Nexus leave the ring immediately. Right after that, you have the usual Cena free or fired video package where it recaps everything that led up to this. Here's where I start to get scared. The pay-per-view started at 8 p.m. Runs till 11 with a 5 to 11 minute overlap at times. At 10:20 p.m. you have your main event slotted to come to the ring next. This would essentially mean that, plus or minus with entrances, you're going to get a 30-minute main event. And here we go. Starts out as an even exchange. Test of strengths for the most part. Barret powerhouses from time to time with the boot. Hard Irish whip. Wade Barrett big on the submissions. Randy Orton breaks both attempts though. Essentially gets a backbreaker off that opens the door for the Randy Orton traditional DDT and sets up for an RKO, but Randy escapes. Barrett hits a knee to the temple and then wasteland. On the count of 2, Barrett hits a knee to the temple of Orton and hits wasteland right after that. On a 2 count, right after wasteland, Orton grabs the ropes. At this point, Barrett's been back and forth with Cena on his 2 counts that should have been 3s and all this happy horse shit. By the end of this match, because of this, Barrett gets so frustrated with Cena that he pushes Cena. Cena pushes Barrett back into a waiting Randy Orton, who RKO's Wade Barrett. 3 count. Randy Orton is still your WWE champion. If contract states, this means that Cena is no more. At the end of the match, you start to think that Cena, alright, finally going to get his revenge. The rest of Nexus comes to Barrett's aid. Randy Orton and John Cena make short work of it, and Nexus retreats. Cena and Orton in the ring, they share a brief moment. Cena waves to the fans, goes through the crowd, says his goodbyes, and walks off, and that's how you end Survivor Series. My rant is, I'm not buying that you're going to take your biggest money maker and just shit can him when your market isn't doing good at all. It made for an interesting story, and I hate to sound like I don't, like when the promotion tries that I don't listen. I do. But it's not believable that if wrestling is already suffering, your biggest name is no longer going to be on the card. Everybody, I think, wanted to see that match more for the ass beating that should have came from John Cena to Wade Barrett. Because in the end, it should have been Cena gets Wade Barrett. But we're about 7 minutes away from Monday Night Raw tonight at 9 p.m. on the USA Network. Check this video out, and all our other videos at WrestleTalkShow.webs.com. Again, send all your show-related emails to cwecompany@gmail.com. Friend us on Facebook. Donate a little or a lot. Become a monthly subscriber. Check it all out. Until next time, enjoy Raw.